Want a new way to compare your data? Check out GPS radius as you drove it, colored on a track map. Follow along, I'll show you how to do it. In this video, I wanted to do more than just show you something. I wanted to be able to show you how to get to that point. And then when you have these sorts of ideas or you have a question, you'll have some of the tools you need to build up to the point of being able to graph these things or show them on a map and do what you want. So the first step to build this is we're going to right-click on our track map, choose settings, and then color by method and per channel. And when we go to per channel, what we want to put in is GPS radius. We can come down, pick our GPS radius channel, say OK, and now we're colored by GPS radius. One of the things I really like to do here is change my line size up to 7 or 9 a lot of times, so it makes it really big, and we have that. Now, what happens when we look at this is it graphs from 0 to really infinity when we're going straight, and we're going to get red and then just blue in the corners because it's the minimum. So the next thing we're going to do is click in our time distance plot, and here we're going to search for GPS radius again. We can actually come down, pick, got a lot of channels going here, GPS radius. We have it graphed, and then now we can click the gear with it and go in and change our channel settings. And in the bottom right over here, what we see is that we can change the scaling for the plot and for our colored scale. So I want to make this one colored scale and say maybe 100 to 800. This is kind of an educated guess. I'm going to apply and exit. And we see it really changed the colors on our map. So now we have colored segments in the corners, red on the straight. I want to get this a little bit more fine-tuned on the downhill. So I'm going to go back in and I'm going to maybe change this one to 900. Apply and exit. Oh, looks like I made a mistake. Let's go back in there and fix it. And I can get 900, 900, 100. Apply and exit. That's a pretty good looking graph. So now as we're looking at this, we have colors for how tight we turned in which portion of the corner. I think a neat sort of thought experiment here is as we zoom in on our corners a little bit, and I'm going to slide my pane over to make this a little bit bigger. As we look, the more blue a color is, the tighter the radius, the smaller that number. And we can see that here too. And we can scale this graph if we want. And again, to do that, we're going to go into GPS radius and let's set this to be the same amount. So we're going to go 100 to 900. I'm going to turn off the steps because I don't really care. And now this graph matches what I'm seeing here. So when we look at Big Bend, we can see we have the tightest part at the first curb, and then maybe the second tightest part around here. And it gives us a different way to think about how tight we're turning in this corner. And we can do the same thing. We can kind of click our number here and see the tightest turning point for the left-hander is really way through the corner. That's where our tightest radius is. Is that maybe how you think about the steering? Is that how you think about how the car's handling? Does it influence any of those things? It's kind of a neat thought experiment to look at. The same thing as we look at the right-hander onto the back straight. It's really, if we say that apex is at the tightest part of our turning, we'd say I apex this one super late, even past the curb, and not even on the very inside of the track. We can zoom out here, kind of fly through the rest of the track, look at the uphill, and say the tightest portion is really halfway up the hill. And maybe a good way to look at this one is we can add in our elevation. My altitude. And then when we plot that, we see if this point is in the middle, it's only halfway up the hill. Kind of an interesting thought to think about as you evaluate things. The same thing for West Bend. We can go over here, find our point, go in, look at that Titus radius, see that it's right about here, and it's right in the middle of that curb. Interesting thought. If you asked me where I was aiming for the apex, I would say it's a little bit further up here at the road. So you see it changes a little bit there from what I would have guessed. So this is a really neat way to look at your data with some more methods to pull out some different kind of information that you might be able to get in here, and not just look at it in a regular graph or in a plot one way. So I hope this helps you out and gets you through how to look at some of these things, and really gets you a chance to look at your data in a new light, to maybe get some information out of it that you didn't think about before, or just to give you a new way to compare things with a friend or with a coach or another driver that you're out on track with, because it's a great conversation starter. If you like this kind of content, remember to click that like button, subscribe so you know when I release more videos, and follow along, and hopefully we can get your analysis game tuned up a little bit and use your data device a little bit better.